knocking on your door. What's the name of our channel again?
I don't even know. I think it's called the FlipSide with somebody and somebody.
Yeah.
We don't have to cut off anymore since the membership has been.
All right.
You know what I'm saying? We're moving up, baby.
Mind blown.
No more 40 minutes, 30 hours long if you want. Two guys from two worlds. This is the Flip Side. New episodes uploaded on YouTube, Facebook, and Spotify every week on Wednesdays and Saturdays. Now, your hosts, two guys who believe they're still relevant today, Jay and Noel.
In Baguio. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. Good morning, good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Flip Side with Jay and Noel. How are you guys doing?
And Celestina.
And Celestina, we have a little guest here, a guest paneler today. Today, by the way, the 22nd of April, 8:52 p.m. We are exactly 52 minutes late on today's recording.
12 hours.
For whatever reason. Well, it's
behind...
8:53 a.m. in the Philippines. So it's okay.
Yeah, we are 12 hours in the future compared to where Jason's at.
Yes, I am in the US of A, somewhere in the back streets of Northern Virginia. And everybody else is in somewhere in the Philippines, wherever the hell they are.
Where it's the place to be. It's been really hot lately here. Has it been hot there where you guys are at also? Like your part of the world?
It has. Typically around this time of year, it's kind of the rainy season. And it's still a little bit chilly, supposedly, but it's been so hot that my ass has been sweating like crazy. And it's like, when you get that little triangle sweat mark on your lower back, it's starting already and it's too early in the year.
I thought you meant like on the seat.
Well, that too. And it's kind of gross. It's really like, and what makes it worse is it's hot. It's starting to get humid. Plus, at the same time, there's still pollen all over the place.
Oh, allergies.
Yeah. And it's pretty bad. It's everywhere in our neighborhood. All the cars are covered and whatever. And I make a bad mistake of like rolling down my windows while I'm driving and opening the roof. So it's like on my face and my eyes sometimes. Yeah. How you guys been?
Hold on a second. Let's wrap up that topic. Do you bring a towel or a tissue to wipe your sweat off? I want to make sure that you do.
No, I don't, unfortunately. I mean, I'm not really sweating, but if it's a heavy pollen day and I do this, you can wipe it off your forehead.
Oh, sorry. I got confused. I was imagining you at the gym. I know.
On a regular day.
Is that inappropriate?
It's a little bit too much, right? A little bit too much.
Or riding public transportation for some reason. I was thinking like how it like affects other people and you leaving your sweat marks wherever you leave.
Well, it doesn't really affect anybody but me, but I'm just, you know what? Go screw yourself, man.
Women and children.
What's it like in Manila?
Hell.
Yeah.
Like a
How
sauna.
is it in Manila right now?
Like a sauna.
Yeah.
Like terrible. Really. And I don't know. I've been watching too much TikTok videos and they're saying that it's going to get worse. I don't know how true that is.
What do you mean, in Manila?
Like the heat wave? Yeah. Yeah.
Worse than what it's been like the last month and a half?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. From
hotter.
Like just regular 30s to 34, 35 on the weather app.
So Celeste, where are you at right now?
It's called Baguio City.
Oh, you are in Baguio right now. I thought you were in La Union.
No. I'm up and down, side to side.
So it never gets hot there, really, does it?
And not as bad as it's like California hot.
Oh, that's not
So
bad at
the
all.
highest, yeah, the highest it would go is like 27 or 29. So not
I don't think it's
as
California
intolerable.
hot.
Yeah.
Cannot be California hot. Hey, wait a minute. Somebody's
I
connecting.
Oh,
do know
hey.
Rob.
How's it going, Roberto? My name is Jason, by the way. Can you hear us?
He's still connecting with his audio.
Oh, got it. Got it. Here's
Celeste,
a
you do know him?
story.
Yeah.
Hi, Roberto. Can you hear us and see us? No, I can't hear him.
Oh,
You can't hear us yet.
Can't hear you. Hello, we were
Hmm.
talking about you. Can you hear us?
Hello.
There.
Hello. Can you
We
hear
can
me?
we can
Hey,
hear you
how's it
now.
going? My name is
we can hear you
Jason.
now.
Hello, everybody. Sorry for being late.
Hello, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you
We're all
too.
late.
No worries. Thanks for
It's
popping
a
in,
Sunday.
Roberto.
Thank you. Thank you for having me over.
We were just talking about you behind your back. How
Oh, you were.
Celestina, how Celestina. I was telling them that there's this guy that we'll talk to. He's a cultural writer. Let's talk about his interest in food and everything. And then like Celestina might be interested. And then when you popped in a while ago, Celestina said that she met you already in Baguio at the cafe.
That's right. I did meet Celestina way back.
Yeah,
Way back.
that's cool. And
Way,
then
way back.
to tie that up together, Jason here wants to move back to the Philippines and put up his own carinderia. So,
Oh,
oh,
wow.
you haven't met him yet. Yeah. So
No, I
Jason,
haven't met.
Jay is in Virginia right now, 12 hours into the past.
Correct.
That's right. We're in the future.
Yeah, way past his bedtime.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Basically, a
So
little backstory. Like Noel and I have actually been friends since middle school. And to cut the long story short, we basically started hanging out throughout a little bit of high school and whatnot until he left for the Philippines. 25 years later, here we are.
I like to
That's
round
it.
it off to 30, but yeah,
30,
25
yeah,
then.
30. Sounds about right.
But yeah, so we were catching up and we're like, hey, why don't we just do a podcast? And then, he had a mic and a headset, and we finally had good internet, and we put everything together, and then now here we are, one big
Yeah.
Brady Bunch family on one lot. One, and then next thing you know, we're experimenting with the YouTube Live. So we'll see
Mm,
We'll see how
this
this
one goes.
goes. Yeah.
okay, great.
Um, last week as well, we were talking about so Celeste just mentioned that you guys actually met at what was the name of that restaurant? Cafe by the Ruins,
Yes.
right? And it
Right,
turns
right.
out that after we discussed it, plus becoming Filipino. I don't know if you guys are familiar.
Kulas, becoming Filipino. Are you guys familiar with this vlogger guy?
Oh
He's
yeah, yeah.
No, I haven't. No.
He's a pretty popular Filipino,
Canadian.
Canadian vlogger that lives in Mindanao, right?
Oh,
Yeah, and it
okay.
turns out last week he was in Baguio and stopped by the cafe. So thought
Yeah,
that was
that's
kind of
cool.
interesting.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
saw the video. I just like fast forwarded to
the
To that part
cafe
when
where
you
the
part.
went.
cafe was. Yeah.
Yeah, it's
It was
towards
cute. It's like he knew what he wanted to order based on the video, which
Yeah,
is interesting because usually it's like, okay, I don't know what to order, and what
Right.
is
Mm,
this? What does this mean? Usually.
yeah, or they cut out the part where I don't know what to order. But
they could have.
interesting
Yeah.
was the part where he showed that he was eating. He ordered something that I think it's not like maybe is it popular, the gado gado salad that he ordered, Celeste?
Oh, did he order that? No, it was the queso petit.
Is it queso puti? Oh, I thought it was
Yeah.
the gado gado
He
salad.
broke
What's
the
gado
cheese
gado again?
and tofu.
What was it?
Yeah,
Tofu salad.
the tofu in watercress salad. That's the one
That's
that I
gado
like.
gado. Is it
Yeah,
gado gado or gado
tofu.
gado?
Yeah,
I
gado
don't know.
gado.
Oh.
It's
If
an
you were paying
Indonesian
attention
salad.
to last week's episode, Jay, that's the salad that is originally from Indonesia or something like that. I think
Right.
Celeste mentioned. anyway, to segue from that, Roberto here has also been to the cafe, yeah?
Yeah, several times already. So I'm familiar. That's where I met Celestina, and then I met a few people there also, and I attended some of the events that they organized as well. That was many, many years ago. It's been a while since I visited, but yeah, I'm very familiar with Cafe by the Ruins.
Nice.
That's
Yeah,
so
and
cool.
Rob, fun fact, because Noel
Mm.
worked with Kashmir also, to
Oh, that's
videotape the or record the Mindful Mondays, and
right.
Rob was also an attendant
Were
at
you
that
there that
event.
night, Noel?
I'm not sure.
Oh,
There's several nights.
I remember first night I attended, I won a
right.
prize. I I won a pot of plants. That's what I remember. It's still here in Baguio right now.
Oh
Pot
wow!
of plants, like as a giveaway.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
because the I
Edible
think one of the
plants.
collaborators is
Oh,
a has a farm, and the prize was um this pot, this very long pot full of plants on treated soil, so you can put it indoors. But yeah, it was with me in Makati for a while, but then since the pandemic brought it up to Baguio, and instead of being indoors now, it's part of the garden.
hmm.
But it's still
Nice,
there.
nice.
Yeah.
I don't
And it's food.
I
It's
don't know
food
if
also.
I don't
Yeah.
know if I was there the first night, Celeste. I think I was there somewhere in between already when you guys already started the Mindful Mondays, or was it the first night? I don't remember.
I
Can't
can't remember.
can't recall. But
Because
I
the
remember
first
just
night,
doing one night.
I
Yeah.
think, wasn't Rob? Didn't you attend the one that EI was the top-up chef for? Because
Yes.
that's when
Mm,
Noel
mm, mm,
was
mm, mm,
doing the interviews. Was
mm,
EI was the chef
Yes, I
also?
remember Chef EA.
mm, mm.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Nice. So,
that's
Roberto,
interesting.
are you currently a chef or no?
Yeah, I'm currently practicing I'm doing it for private services. So if people are interested to call, I can
Hmm.
cook for them. But then for the most part, I'm actually doing some cloud kitchen work also,
Oh, wow.
along with my wife.
Wow, that's cool.
You got married?
Yes, yes, right here.
When?
Congratulations.
Thank you. That was a year ago. So
Wow.
the project that my wife and I have is it's called Panaderia de Poblacion, or Pan de Pobs for short.
Hmm.
So we create um Filipino pastries, and also um other pastries that are from other cuisines that correlate to our own. So there's some American and there's some Spanish as well.
Mhm.
Um and we're planning to expand our menu also, so that we can accommodate more items in the next few months. But
Are you
right now we're working on ensaimadas, the Filipino version, and then uh cinnamon rolls, buko pie. I think, yeah, Noel in fact ordered one,
right,
if I
right.
recall. And um apple pie. In fact, there are, if you were to ask people, they order a multiple um yeah, they order multiple such. So it's the items are each item is someone's favorite.
Ah,
So
got
it's
it.
nice. Yeah, like there's always variety. People say, "Hey, can you make us this and can you make us that?" And almost every day at least we're always doing something in the kitchen.
Right, right.
I'm
Is it
I'm still
mainly
stuck.
pastries and whatnot?
Hmm.
Mainly pastries?
Yeah, breads and pastries.
Got it.
I am stuck on the term cloud kitchen. Love it. Listen,
Why?
guys, before we get into the, because it's so millennial. It's so modern. It's a so modern. But listen, before we get in deep into the food, guys. Rob, I hope you don't mind me mentioning this. I'm sure you'll be happy. Uh, Roberto cooks, right? So we've established that, and that's even his name on his TikTok channel. Is there? It's just called the TikTok, right?
Right.
And then
Yeah.
I saw this the other day. It was like 200 followers, subscribers, and then like after another video, like overnight or after a couple of days, all of a sudden you have like 800.
Yeah, and in fact, now we just have, as of this morning,
Mm.
216.7 thousand views. So it's quite amazing. Just
Yeah. I mean, you're
and
blowing up.
yeah, we have already amounted to 2,100 plus followers
Followers.
just in
Wow.
Yeah.
one night.
Wow.
Yeah,
2,125
yeah,
followers,
overnight celebrities.
215,000 views, and
Hmm.
16,500 likes.
Jay,
Yep.
Wow.
while you let that sink in, so
Yeah,
I
I'm a
met
little
this
annoyed
guy.
right now, to be honest with you.
We should be on TikTok, really. You
I
try to
know.
go live on TikTok instead of
We
where we're
should
at
have
now,
done that.
YouTube. Yeah, live on TikTok instead, right?
Yeah.
Next week. So
Yeah,
what
that's where all the kids are.
uh, it's just it's mind blowing for me because I met Roberto. I thought he was really shy. I speak to him. He's really I feel like such an all of a sudden I feel like such an extrovert compared to Roberto. And then next thing you know, he has a TikTok account, and then I'm like,
Right.
you're not shy to be in front of the camera, Roberto. It's
Well, I'm it's more of something to get used to because it's not often that I do it. Most of the time I would be behind the camera. So being in front of the camera is a rare thing for me. But you know, if it works, it works. So at first we were thinking, hmm, I wonder how this is going to, push through because it's new territory for Bea and I, Bea, my wife. Um, so also she's in the video too. So
mm,
uh, the idea is both of us will be appearing in the succeeding videos, and you'll be seeing more of us often. It's not just going to be me, but it's also going to be her. So it's going
Right.
to be both our thing.
and it I'll stop talking after this, guys. But the reason why I also use the and assume the word uh introvert for Roberto because he's also a food writer. And I'm thinking, writers don't like to show their face. They want to be behind the pen or behind the page and but it's just so it's just so inspiring. All of a sudden it's like this guy's, taking a step forward, and you amaze me every time I meet you. It's like I'm
Thank you.
always surprised with something new that you're doing or coming up with.
That's quite an achievement to get all that done in one night, basically, you know?
I know. I know. It's funny because yeah, we edited it the night before that, and we uploaded it the following morning, and then next thing we know, boom, it went up overnight. It's
Wow.
just amazing, and still growing up to now. In fact, I stayed up a little late so I can keep at least entertaining some of the comments and whatnot.
Mhm.
Yeah, it was a lot for both of us. It was the first time we ever saw something grow that much. It's
Yeah.
Next thing you
amazing.
know, you're gonna need to hire a moderator. Somebody,
Yeah.
Look,
somebody that literally needs to sit there all day and just keep answering it questions for you. You know, like, what do you want to say? What do you want to
That
say?
Jay, that's
yeah.
what Christine here was saying. Look, he's got like 1,000 comments and he's responding to every single one of them.
Yeah, you're crazy for doing that, by the way.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a lot. That's the first time that I've dealt with something like this for both of us. And just seeing the comments, I didn't reply to all of them, but at least the good ones, we would just give some hearts and all of that likes. But
You actually
yeah,
read
of
all the
course,
comments?
um I've stopped because they just kept going and going and going. And the funny thing is, I've I never thought, or we never thought we'd see ourselves in this position, because um we would usually see other people on YouTube,
Mhm.
TikTok, Instagram, whatever, and their comments, with their videos, sorry, would amass so much following, and there would be so many comments. This is the first time I've experienced also haters, just a few. And like, in fact, we were thinking about removing some of them, but we were advised to just keep them there, because that means that we have made it already.
Right.
So I didn't know that's how it works. So you just keep some things there, keep everything there. It's uh it's it's really amazing. We never expected to have made it to that point.
That's a
Allow me
very
to
good problem to have.
allow me to put some
Yeah.
context into this for those of you that are not on TikTok. Roberto's channel, and I think we should dig into this, guys. The channel, Roberto's concept, and let me know if I misunderstand Roberto. It's traditional Filipino cooking. Do you want to tell us a little bit more about the concept of your TikTok
Okay.
channel?
Well, the real title of the whole thing is The Lost Filipino Cookbook. So Roberto Cooks on TikTok. That's a placeholder name,
Mm.
until we find something better. But the real title is The Lost Filipino Cookbook. So the concept of the channel, be it on TikTok and or Instagram. By the way, we also have the Instagram account. Same thing, The Lost Filipino Cookbook. The concept is we rediscover historical and or obscure elements about Filipino culture through our cuisine. So since Bea is Spanish and I'm Filipino, and of course our cultures have run into each other in the past, it would be very cool that we also discover some of those things together. And yeah, we're already planning on certain content already that will be uploaded in the next few days, in the next few weeks. But that's pretty much it. Like, we're rediscovering our cultures through cuisine, through gastronomy. So whether it's us preparing a dish, a very obscure dish, or with rare ingredients, or maybe just going to a historical restaurant like what we did with Toho.
Right.
That's pretty much what we do. And there are people who reach out to us and say, "Hey, we really like your concept, and we keep it up. We look forward to the next." So they're very happy with it. And in fact, in our first video where I prepare burong paho, um, there were comments that were pretty much ecstatic, like, "Oh my gosh, paho, that was my childhood," or "That
Yeah.
reminds me of my grandmother." So we are so glad that we're able to struck a chord with our audience.
Hmm.
And that really makes us feel good, because in a way we make them feel good too. And when they feel good, we feel good.
Right.
So
Right.
it's really exciting.
I did.
And we look forward. Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry. I did mention that actually. I did read through some of the comments. To be honest with you, it's just the way I am. But
Yeah.
that was a common mention throughout the comments given out, where it's hitting a spot to all these people where, hey, I had that so long ago, yada yada yada. And it's kind of amazing
Yeah.
how that one little clip has kind of opened up Pandora's box, so to speak, in regards to that,
Right.
with Filipino food being so underrated and so underrepresented, not just here in the States, pretty much all over the world. Do you think that opening up the past in regards to Filipino cuisine will help in a way bring up proper representation in regards to Filipino food, its identity, so to speak,
Yes,
because
absolutely.
nobody knows nobody knows proper identity of Filipino food. So what do you think?
Yeah, to be honest, it is at first, many years ago at least, it was quite concerning for me too, because when people think of Asian cuisine, it would be uh Chinese, be it Cantonese or Mandarin, whatever, then Japanese, Korean,
Mhm.
Thai, Vietnamese. Uh the thing is, yeah, if you go to the States, those are the Asian foods you would be most likely to see.
Yeah.
And with Filipino, yes, it had gained a following
Mhm.
for almost a century now, um, where it's usually in a Filipino district. That's a thing. Pretty much with a cult following, but not as big as Chinese, Thai, Korean, Japanese, what have you.
That's
And
the flip side of that.
I've always wondered about that. And I've learned the reason why we haven't really picked up for so long was Filipinos themselves, when they migrate, they adapt to the environment easily. They can assimilate easily. So they're not really as stuck to their roots
Correct.
like their fellow Asian communities.
Right.
Whereas the others, they're really traditional. They really hold on to their culture. So that's why it takes longer for them to assimilate, but at the same time it gives the Americans, or whatever nationality that country is in, it gives them time, gives them a more opportunity to see
Mm.
this culture. So that's why uh these cuisines have entered the public consciousness over there. But I am so happy that in recent years Filipino cuisine has been taking off. So we have a lot of Jollibees around the world.
Mhm.
In fact, there's this joke 2 years ago where I saw it as a meme. Like on the first image, it's Spain arriving on the shores of what would become the Philippines, and the caption is 1521. And then on the right image is Jollibee with a flag, if I remember, in Madrid. And then it says there 2021. So we're giving
Wow.
back in a way.
Wow.
Yeah, like Filipino culture has been taking the world by storm. Now everyone is talking about ube. That's something that I never expected in my lifetime. For me, ube is ube. It's a yam. It's uh
It's
an
potatoes.
ice cream flavor. Now everyone's talking about ube.
Right.
It even appeared on an American animated series. So that kind of thing. It's amazing. I would hear it about Japanese, Chinese, and other Asian cuisines, but this is next level.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
and then also the restaurants like a Jeepney Bar in New York. It's really capturing a lot of the people's imagination. I have a friend in London who actually told me that her favorite restaurant over there is Romulo Cafe. This is a this is a white English person,
Mm.
and she says that's her favorite. You could really see that we're making a mark. So
Right.
that's
Right.
good. Now, my concern now is the Filipinos themselves, be it abroad or even in our own country. Up to now, we really are not sure what their cuisine is.
Mm.
We eat it, we see it every day, but we barely know much about it. I remember there was one time Liza Soberano got some flack about being Filipino, and her comment was, I'm Filipino, and I like Filipino food. I enjoy eating sinigang, which didn't help make matters worse. I mean, I understand her too, was coming from the States. Her exposure to her culture, her mother culture, is not as it's not as prevalent,
Mhm,
but that was probably what she grew up with, and I
mhm,
don't blame her for that.
mhm.
But if you were to ask the other Filipinos here, it would be the same problem. They may be laughing at Liza, but uh, they're also
It's
not
an
aware of.
ongoing question, you know. I
Yeah,
mean, we
the-
know all these celebrity chefs like Anthony
yeah,
Bourdain, Salvatore Cuomo, Andrew Zimmern, um, what's his name? Gordon Ramsay. These are all chefs that has been to the Philippines to visit and try to explore Filipino cuisine, and
mhm.
all ask the exact same question: What is Filipino food? You know, I mean,
I will get. Yeah, I
you
will actually.
mentioned
Yeah,
Jollibee and whatnot, which, by the way, has opened two stores near me in the past 2 years, and it's going bonkers. You know, it's making a lot of money.
yeah.
There are those good Filipino restaurants in New York, mainly in California as well. But to be quite honest with you, well, there is also another Filipino restaurant here in DC that I've kind of bashed throughout this episode as well, because a lot of my experience with Filipino restaurants here, specifically in the East Coast and some in the West Coast, it's infused. You know, it has become a fusion of something else, an adaptation of what Filipino food is supposed to be, but in American society, so to speak, you know, because they're
Right,
trying to cater to the other cultures. Now, these are the more modern restaurants I'm talking about. And
right,
there's
Hence
right.
the
also the
bashing.
traditional Filipino restaurants here in the States that are just strictly catering to Filipinos. You know, like you said earlier, Filipinos are like chameleons where wherever they go, they assimilate and they adapt to whatever society they blend into, right? Which
Right.
means when they open up a lot of these Filipino restaurants as well or stores, it's the traditional Filipino Karens kind of carinderia or whatever that only cater or they mainly try to cater to Filipinos. So
Mhm.
for those other places that do try to reach out and cater to the other cultures, is it really your authentic traditional Filipino food? A lot of the times I find it to be, like I said, infused with something else or
Yeah, I in fact I wanted to bring that up also. It's great that there are Filipino chefs out there, people of Filipino descent that are
Mhm.
practicing culinary. Like they're coming up with fusion cuisine. That's great, it keeps the creativity going, but at the same time, it's quite alarming for me because while the cuisine is still evolving on the global scale, we back at home haven't really grasped a lot of the great things that we have here. You know what I mean? Like
Mhm.
it's we're just getting to know our cuisine, and just as we're getting to know our cuisine, it goes away. It goes away from us and it
Right.
becomes another thing. And okay, I understand that. That you asked what is Filipino cuisine. Filipino cuisine for me is a melting pot of cultures.
Mhm.
Um, we have indigenous, we have Spanish, Mexican, Chinese, Indonesian, Malay, um, Indian, did I mention Japanese? No,
Not yet.
not yet. It's a melting pot. American, all the other cultures that have walked in here um, through the last 200 years, they have made, they have informed our cuisine, but at the same time, we still barely know about it. So, like I said, as we're getting to know it, it's going away from us. It's becoming a different thing that
Mhm.
isn't really Filipino. And some are trying to find a way to make it appealing to a more international clientele,
Right.
which I feel they shouldn't at all. Like here in Baguio, there's this restaurant here, and they've been doing curations. And one of the things they were creating was pinakbet,
Mm.
and the way they presented pinakbet wasn't by the name pinakbet, they were referring to it as Ilocano ratatouille. And I'm
Wow.
just thinking,
Why? That's just
I
like
know we don't have to
recolonizing it.
go there, right?
It's
What's that again?
recolonizing the dish again.
Yeah, it just, if you're trying to fancy it up, that's not the way. You be
Yeah.
proud of what
Yeah,
you're
exactly.
serving. Even
Exactly.
if you make the pinakbet look stylish and give it some
Plate
pizzazz,
it differently.
just let it stay as pinakbet. You don't have to make it appeal to white visitors as Ilocano
Exactly.
ratatouille, and
I know.
right, and then in I remember back in Manila, Dean and DeLuca had a chain of restaurants there because yeah, New York, it's a grocery, but in Manila, it's a restaurant. But I digress. Anyway, under pastry section, they were serving queso de bola and saimadas, but they kept changing the name several times, seeing how it would appeal to people. So at first, it was queso de bola and saimada, which is great, fantastic. And then next thing I know, it becomes French brioche. And I'm just thinking, French brioche, first of all, that's redundant. Second of all, it barely resembles a brioche. And it's its own thing. I know this French lady, and she likes to talk, she likes to make conversation with her visitors, and she would be saying about uh how the French was pretty much influential in our cuisine, although barely. But then she was saying about how adobo is French because it comes from the term adober. I don't know if I may have murdered the pronunciation, but yeah, but it's not. And then another one is ensaimada. She says, "What's the big deal? It's just brioche with
Mm,
cheese."
mm.
And I just kept quiet there because I didn't want to, make a long-winded argument. But then in the back of my mind, I was saying that it's not. The reason why people mistake ensaimada for a brioche is because it's enriched. It's enriched with eggs and it's enriched with butter. That's
Butter.
it. But it's its own thing. It's simultaneous. It the French had nothing to do with it. It just became its own thing. So more on
I
that
think,
on another time. But
yeah,
yeah,
my take on this thing is where, most people are trying to recolonize our food or Filipino food. It's because they just can't let go of being on top of the world. You know what I mean? Where it's like,
yeah,
yes, we get it. America's a great country, and all the other white countries are great, but um, all the colonized countries also have their own voice and food and culture that we want to show the world. But I think because of that um, colon- colonized mentality, we always try to assimilate to the white culture where it's like the pinakbet is now ratatouille in that restaurant because we're still stuck and with that trauma of being colonized that we always try to adapt to what our colonizers have done to us. You know what I mean?
But
yes,
but that's what Filipinos do, though. Even specifically with their food as well. No matter where they go, like Roberto said earlier, they adapt to it, right? So in a way, like a lot of these Filipino restaurants here, like I said earlier, have adapted their Filipino cooking and the Filipino ways that way. A good example is the very first Michelin star Filipino chefs here in the United States. They ran a restaurant in Chicago called Kasama. Um, it's a husband and wife team of Tim Flores and Jeannie Kwan being a Korean descent and whatnot, they've infused all their Filipino menu, although their Philippine menu is mainly Filipino dishes, it's also infused with some kind of Korean dish. So even
Ooh.
that, they win a Michelin star for it last year, and this year they're runner up for a James Beard Award, and which on its
Nice.
own is an amazing accomplishment.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
That's right.
So
I
it seems like no matter, that question still stands. What is Filipino food? Yes, it is a melting pot, but it still stands.
But
Yeah.
so the difference with adapting our food and going back to being colonized food is that we can adapt and evolve our food, but then it's not reverting back to how we were when we were colonized. So it's adapting to evolve rather than adapting to survive, which is what we did when we were colonized. So when you're adapting to survive, it's because, for example, we'll kill you if you don't change your last name to a Spanish last name kind of thing. So the same thing happened with our food, where we had to change it up because the Spaniards would steal or claim the good parts of like certain meat or butchers that Filipinos are left with discards, the intestines. And I think that's where true Filipino food is also, like isaw, the gizzards and the blood clots. What's it called? In the barbecue?
VHS.
Betamax.
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 Yeah. So most of the street food, I think, and indigenous food that have not been touched by our colonizers are what is the true Filipino food. Because that's what anything that the colonizers did not touch or did not influence, then that's what true Filipino food is. For
Yeah.
example, pinikpikan in the Cordilleras, that's an indigenous dish. And that
Right.
wasn't touched by the influence of our colonizers. So that's a true Filipino dish. It's a region of the Filipino, so it's not the entire Filipino, but it's still Filipino.
Right.
Good point. Let me add to that real quick, Jay. I know you have a question, but I was watching this from Commander Daot's video a couple of weeks ago. He was up at the Cordilleras, and to your point, Celeste, he was mentioning that the mountain province, northern Luzon, was not colonized by anybody. So the food and the traditions that they have up there are, the way they were before. Especially, I think
Yeah.
probably not the Spanish part. I don't know about that part of the history, but definitely not the Japanese and the American, the latter colonizers.
I think I saw that too. When Filipino food was, even up to now, actually, I'd say, is mentioned, may it be jokingly or not, it's always equated to Filipino food being balut or pancit or lumpia, and it's frustrating because I don't think that's the staple of Filipino food. I mean,
No.
lumpia is
No.
what? Spring rolls. Balut is balut. Well, why balut even to begin with?
Well, we can classify that as part of the whole Philippine diaspora. Um, I was listening to Celestina mentioning about um pinagpikan and all that. Yes, those are indigenous Filipino
Mhm.
cuisine. Although what she mentioned about Isaw and Betamax and all that are more on the contemporary side. The thing is, yeah, like there's some things also like from way back that the Spanish wouldn't touch. So of course they were scared, and in a way that also affected our cuisine as well. a lot of things. Even when the Americans arrived here, they had their own thing. They would think our food was unsanitary,
Mm.
so they tried to introduce their breads and their uh, hot dogs and hamburgers to us. In a way, it really shaped who we are. Um, I wouldn't say uh, the indigenous is the only true Filipino cuisine, but pretty much everything else is true Filipino cuisine. It's just about really bringing it up more and really uh, establishing them. For instance, the spaghetti, the very controversial spaghetti with hot dogs.
Yeah.
Um, there are people who are ashamed to enjoy that spaghetti. I mean, admit it. I think each one of us deep down inside know it's really good. No matter the combination of ingredients in it, it's really good. I'm the first that's going to admit it. It's really good.
And
So,
it brings back the nostalgia also of childhood.
yeah. And in fact, when I would go to Metro Manila, one of my favorite places to go, and I took my wife there too, was Makati Supermarket, because they have a coffee shop there, and for me, they have the best spaghetti, and I think
Where
my
is this?
my
What's the
wife
name of the
can
place?
agree with that. Yeah, she likes it as well. It's really good. It's simple, it's just hot dogs and banana ketchup and some grated processed cheese product, but it's really good. Um, I had this classmate from culinary school. She likes preparing things at home and posting it on Facebook or whatnot. And one of the things that she remarked in among one of her posts was she is embarrassed with Filipino spaghetti, and maybe
Mm.
this is just her trying to class things up because now she's learning French cuisine or whatnot. But hey, you can enjoy it too. I was making this argument with in one of those food culture forums that we shouldn't really be ashamed of these things. In Japan, they actually classify Western influenced dishes into their own category, um like with the tonkatsu and the curry and all of those things.
Mm.
um they are part of Japanese cuisine, but they're also in a different class of their own. So I was proposing, why can't we just do the same thing also, because that way we can really claim it as our own, but we're not going to be ashamed of it. We can actually be proud of it. And then I remember this one seasoned cultural writer. He shot back at me and said, "Well, that's not really a good idea for me because that would be the equivalent of self-flagellation." For me, it's not self-flagellation. It's just really accepting what is ours. Okay, I've learned over the years that in your own cuisine, there's some things that you're not going to like. Like in when I met my wife, she made me aware that in Spain, not everybody likes callos. So there's that. You'd think that everyone there likes that sort of thing. And it's okay, like in your own cuisine, you don't have to like it, but at the same time, you can still be proud of it as,
Oh, absolutely.
because it's part of your culture.
Full
Filipino
full
spaghetti.
disclosure. Sorry to cut you off.
Yeah,
I'm not a big fan of the Jollibee spaghetti. Just full
Me
that's
too.
disclosure.
okay.
That makes two of us.
Yeah, I
Oh,
actually
really?
despise it. I think it's so bad. It's kind of, I don't know. It's just me. I'm not a
Yeah,
big
yeah.
fan.
Right behind
That's
you, buddy.
okay.
The
Like what I'm
chicken's
saying.
good.
Well, like what I'm saying, you don't have to like a particular dish in our cuisine, but we can accept it instead of just turning away and just looking at it with disgust and being
Disgust.
reviled
Mm.
towards it, right? Filipino spaghetti has as much validity as tinolang manok or sinigang or adobo or any other dish that's there. It's valid as the Islamic dishes of Maranao and lechon in Cebu. You know what I mean? It We can accept everything else
Mm.
instead of
Yeah.
just rejecting these certain dishes.
No,
Right.
So
absolutely.
that's what I'm going for also.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's one of my
To
focuses.
add to that,
Yeah.
a reminder that we should have is that the Philippines is an archipelago. So there's 7,107 islands. And not every island is going to have the same kind of food
Right.
because of the
Yes.
resources within the areas that they're living in. So, and the influence of cultural aspects and colonizing. So I think it's true that we do have a melting pot of different kinds of influences in our food. And I think that makes Filipino food.
Right.
Filipino food.
You know, also, I'd like to add to that too, Celestina. I was having a dialogue with a cultural writer friend of mine. She's very seasoned, so I also take her word for it as well. I was mentioning to her, I was venting out to her that why is it that um well, we were talking about Machado, okay, because in relation to have a background, you remember in back in 2019 there was this online debate in the Filipino community about what the difference is between mechado, apretada, caldereta, and
Caldereta.
menudo, and people did not know what um the differences were. They would just say they all have tomato sauce, I guess, things like that. So it came to the point, there were even Facebook pages mentioning this is the difference, these are the differences of the four, but then each of them did not really check out. It was inaccurate. So it came to the point where I felt um, the need to join this whole thing and try to put an end to it, at least to the best that I could. So I wrote this very thorough article about the differences of the four. Uh, Shameless plug, it's on Esquire, and not just the differences, but background history also of each dish. So if you read the article, it's not really just tomato sauce and all that stuff. And through time, some of these things were bastardized because of economical reasons. Like for instance, this dish used to be served this way, but then has to be cut into cubes or something because that's what people could afford. I was venting this out to my my friend, and I was saying, no, why is it that people keep changing it and they're deviating from what is traditional and all that stuff? And I remember she was saying that um, there are probably people out there whose heirloom recipe of 30 years at least would be of this deviation. And while it may not reflect so much on on the culture, uh, in the whole, in the bigger scheme of things, it meant a lot to them, that version of that recipe, of that dish. So I've become more accepting. So now for me, it's not really about forcing people or coercing them, like, hey, this is how it should be done, you shouldn't do it that way. No, I've accepted it like the same way that we should accept Filipino spaghetti.
Mm.
So my advocacy now is really not telling people how it should be done, but more of this was how it was back then. So they have also a reference point in the future. Like, okay, so that's how far our dish has evolved. That doesn't mean they have to do it, but at least it opens their horizons.
The
It
knowledge is
opens their
there,
mind,
which
their
which
knowledge.
opens up the bigger horizon and whatnot.
Exactly. So that's pretty much what I'm doing here. I'm just rediscovering these things. And once I rediscover them, I'd love to share what I rediscovered with the people.
Mm.
And aside from that, um, not just showing them old culinary practices, but also ingredients and certain things that have been lost through time. So we'll be seeing that in the next few days and the next few weeks. And yeah, I'm looking forward to that. My wife and I are looking forward to that.
Yeah.
Are you
What's
going to
the
be featuring? Sorry, are you going to be featuring some Baguio restaurants on your TikTok?
Stay tuned.
Okay.
what's the
Thanks.
handle again? What's the name of your channel or account again? Are
On
you sticking?
yeah,
Yeah,
on
sorry. Go ahead.
Instagram, we are the Lost Filipino Cookbook. And then on TikTok, we are Roberto Cooks for the time being. So, but then like I said, the main title of that on TikTok is still the Lost Filipino Cookbook.
Just to
Yeah.
add real quick, since the beginning of
Yeah.
this conversation, you have literally gained 8,000 views. There's literally
What?
223,000 views now. That's crazy.
Yeah, imagine
Is-
that.
Jason's the
It's-
analytics guy.
Yeah, it's one of those things where you just want to pinch yourself because you're not sure if you're dreaming all of this. Even my wife is, amazed. She's right across me and she's going through the numbers. And how much are we now?
2 to 3 views, 17K likes,
Wow.
almost 100 comments. It's been shared 2,600 times and saved 3,000 times.
Could you imagine that? Were you
How
able
many
to hear
comments
that?
did she say?
Which one?
How many comments did she say?
How many comments?
Almost 200.
200, almost 200. And 300 plus saves?
No, 3,000.
3,000 saves on that one video alone. I mean,
Yeah.
Oh wow.
how incredible is
It-
that?
It's
That's
really
I'm gonna
amazing.
get a lot of customers.
it's really resonating with people. I mean, I think the whole cultural idea, the whole it being traditional and all that. But allow me to ask this question to the both of you, restaurateurs, Celeste and Jay. Are Filipinos? Is it about the culture? Are we eating because we're trying to save our traditions, or is it safe to say? And I try to say this objectively. I mean, without any bias, but are Filipinos just eating to survive? Is it a matter of
Um,
culture or survival?
it's a combination of all things because they're privileged people who can have that opportunity to really appreciate the culture. They have the time, the resources, the energy to enjoy the culture for what it is. But on the other side of the fence, there are people who are eking out an existence day to day, trying to find their next meal. So, I don't know if any of you are familiar, but there's a dish named pagpag, which consists of the trash of all these like chicken bones from fast food restaurants and whatnot. They would be collected by scavengers and they would be brought to a carinderia in the slums, which would be they would clean them up, the bones and
Mm.
all of those things, and try to make them into something worthwhile. And people really flock to these carinderias in that neighborhood just to eat that. And of course there will be some people who go, oh my gosh, that's horrible, that's disgusting, but for them that's reality. So like I said, Filipino cuisine is really a diaspora, a melting pot, different things. There's some who have that time to really enjoy these dishes, appreciate them. And there are other people that they still cannot find that opportunity. So they just have to eat whatever's there. Um, and that's still part of Filipino cuisine, whether those fortunate ones like it or not. Um, it's it's something to also open eyes and raise awareness that there's more to it than just sinigang, adobo, and all these things. We have the forgotten cuisine. We have today's cuisine, the fusions and all that. We have um, these dishes that are recycled so that they can be consumed by people who are really hard up. There are a lot. Um, so that's why for me, I don't like canceling out anything because in a way, they're still part of who we are as a Filipino community. That's who we are as Filipino.
Right, right.
That's it.
It's impressive how you've actually decided to take this route and try to revive lost, I guess, cookologgy of the Philippines and whatnot. Um, and you did mention what your bottom line goal is. How do you think that's going to affect your personal life, so to speak?
Well, my wife and I talked about it, and we. Oh, hold on. Is that? Oh no, I just heard my phone also ringing. So hold on.
No problem, no problem.
Yeah. So anyway, what was I? Can you kindly repeat that for me?
Yeah, how do you think let me rephrase it. And everything that we all try to do, one way or the other, it affects our day-to-day living, our personal life, so to speak. How do you think that's going to change your life? How do you think it's going to, I mean, obviously it's starting to change it with the sudden success of this video that you're getting. What are your expectations? How are you think you're gonna handle it?
Well, we talked about it actually last night, and we were saying that we shouldn't let this sort of thing really get in the way of our personal life too. Um, I guess the key there is really is just to enjoy what we're doing, but not
Mhm.
make it like, oh, we have to upload something today, and then why didn't you upload that? We don't want that. We just want to keep things very smooth. Just enjoy what we do what we love. Um, and from there, we just take it there. We don't try to really put so much expectations. I think that's the key to a lot of things. We should always keep our expectations at bay. We should never look at things with high expectations, because if something doesn't go our way, we get disappointed, we get really frustrated, like,
Mm,
it's not the way it should have been, and then we would be hating ourselves, and we don't want that. Nobody does that.
right.
Nobody wants that. Yeah.
Guys, even more so, I have to say that I admire the self introspection or self awareness. The because look, most people your age, let's say it, don't have that interest to look back at history like that. Or you even mentioned the word advocacy a while ago. Where does all this come from, Roberto? Where does all this appreciation for history and tradition and culture come from for you?
That came from me at a young age, actually, because a lot of the people I knew, they were very ashamed of their culture. They were ashamed to wear Marikina shoes. They were ashamed to watch Filipino movies. I remember there was a point where the kids didn't want to go to Jollibee. They were all for McDonald's, like, oh, Jollibee, up. That's so jologs, that's so totoy. But then with their accents and all of that. But now, like, my cousin, uh, I always imagine her to be uh a social butterfly and all of that. And I remember there was one point she and her friends had this sponsorship on Instagram with Jollibee, and just seeing her eating Jollibee. It was like, no, like that's not you. You always like McDonald's. But hey, it goes to
Oh,
show you people
Huh.
are willing to accept these things now. I'm so glad that we've come to the point where Jollibee is embraced by everybody else with open arms. And I'm also glad that now a lot of things Filipino are taking center stage again. We had that sort of thing in the 1970s, and it died down a bit. By the
mm.
90s, you wouldn't even hear much about it. But then
But
now it's having a resurgence, and we're coming at that wonderful time. We're coming at that great time where people are learning to embrace their culture. Now you see everything's more Philippine, all that. And I think people are now curious, are more interested to know about not only their cuisine, but their culture as well. And for me, that makes me feel very happy because um before 20 years ago, I would see people would be so ashamed, and it would be concerning for me because, oh, look, the Japanese, they're cool with their own culture and other Asian countries. Why are we so ashamed of our own? And now we're not. Now everybody else is going, my gosh, Filipinos, yeah, Filipino represent. So it makes me really happy. And like I said, we've come at this a great point in time, and I've come also. We came in this great time as well to really go through this journey. It's not just me and my wife, but we're going through this journey with the rest of the population together and exploring these things. And I think for me, that's a very beautiful thing, don't you think?
but was there a switch for you, like something that turned you on to, hey, let's start this advocacy? Why did it like light a fire under your ass, so to speak? Because like you
Yeah.
mentioned a while ago, traditionally most people might just follow what everybody else is saying or thinking, like group think. Why did you sort of run the other way or think the other way?
Well, I always saw myself way back as a nonconformist and a maverick. There's some things that um I saw everybody's doing the bandwagoning, and I always wanted to be different. I wanted to stand out. So like I would talk about my wife with trends also. What are the in thing? And there's some things that I also feel we could be different from. And it's always been like that for me. I always just wanted to just be different. But in the case of promoting Filipino culture, what added to that was I really saw there was a void. And no matter how many times people were trying to promote it in the past, I guess they were also a little too early. People were still hesitant, or people were still okay to just adapt to Western cultures and all of that. But I was always fighting for that. I wanted us to be proud of our own culture, to be aware, and to just put it up on our sleeves right there that we are a Filipino culture, we are a Filipino community. Whether we like it or not, we were born into this, and the
Mm,
best we could do is work together in making this thing big, Um, like the Japanese, for example, I'm amazed with them because they didn't really have a culture to start with. They were, yeah, they were migrants and all of that, and they live in an island that is just only this much percentage of being livable, but they were able to make the most out of what they got. And it helped when they isolated themselves from the world and took the time to reboot their culture. I'm not saying that we should isolate ourselves, but I'm saying that their determination to be something really is inspiring. And I feel that's what we should also strive for. I remember segue. I remember I was attending this food curation event, and I got acquainted with a lot of people, including there was this uh, English girl of Vietnamese descent, and she had this haughty toddy thing going for her. She was saying, why can't Filipino street food be like Vietnamese street food? At least
Mhm.
with Vietnamese street food, we have the herbs, we have all these things, and here it's all fried foods. But then, for me, that's nothing to be ashamed about. So what if it's fried foods? We we're not striving to be another Vietnam. We're trying to be a Philippines. So
Mm.
for me, these things reflect our story. Food reflects our story. It tells us who we are, how we live. So it's not the point is moot if we're going to try to change our ways to become another thing, like to have our street food become like Vietnamese street food, or to make our pinakbetas ratatouille. um
Right.
it doesn't make sense. We should just accept what we have and be proud of the fact, instead of being ashamed, instead of being self-deprecating. I think we should learn to beef up our confidence and self-esteem,
Yeah.
because that's also what it is. Filipino food's a reflection of our self-esteem too. How far are we willing to be proud of what we have?
Right.
So at least now, that's taking center stage, and little by little,
I think that's
maybe I
what's
might
being
not
taken
see it
away.
in which one?
I think that's what's being taken away from, or what Filipinos are putting away
Yeah,
once they've left the Philippines and migrate somewhere else.
yeah.
You know what I mean?
It's yeah. For
I mean,
me,
if you don't mind me
yeah,
asking, how old are you?
yeah. You can take a guess.
32.
I think is
Close
the
enough.
youngest one in the panel.
Yeah, I'm actually 30.
Wow, wow.
Two
Well, you
years
know
off.
what? I commend you for somebody as young as you are to have such passion in regards to trying to bring what was lost and hopefully bring it back up, you know? It's
Yeah. You know,
it's a rarity, especially at somebody your age. That's a rare thing nowadays.
that is true. But yeah, it's really nice when I hear people our age telling me, "Oh, I love Paho," or "I love your concept. This is
Mm,
great."
mm,
So maybe there are people who are thinking the same thing but haven't really gotten around to it.
Mm.
Well,
Or maybe we're shy to do it, but they're happy that at least there are two people out there
yeah,
uh trying to do something
right.
and raise awareness. We don't want to be um we're not being full of ourselves, more of like we just want to take the initiative. There we go.
Yeah,
To
yeah.
just
Represent.
Represent,
represent
raise it.
Yeah.
and
Yeah,
bring people along with us through our journey, and
yeah.
our journey is their journey as well. And as
So,
I was about to say, I may not see it in my lifetime, Filipino cuisine being really really up there, people being proud of it, but at least me, my wife, and a few other people in the archipelago who are just as like-minded are providing that spark.
mm,
And for me, that's already enough.
that's
That's
awesome.
it.
That's awesome. While we try to wrap things up here, um, any advice on how, to anybody out there really, on how we can contribute into searching for this so-called lost cuisine or lost cookbook?
Mm. No pressure, Roberto. But
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah,
Oh,
go
did you
ahead.
hear?
Go ahead.
Did you hear me? Sorry,
Yeah,
did I
could
get
you
cut off
kindly
there?
repeat that?
I
Yeah,
apologize.
I lost you
So,
there. Sorry.
any advice you can give to any of us, really, or to anybody listening out there, on how we can personally contribute into how we can find or search for this lost cookbook or lost cuisine, so to speak.
Right. And maybe in other words, if we wanted to rally behind you,
Right.
aside from following you on TikTok, what can
What
we
can we
do
do
in our
from our end,
own?
so to speak?
Yeah.
Well, all I can say is keep an open mind and be willing to learn things and also be interested, be curious, because that's what we are. That's what I am also, very curious individual. That's how I learned these things because I always wondered about them. Like, oh, I wonder how it was like back then, or why was it like this? And that led me to my answers. We just have to be curious, interested, inquisitive,
Mm.
um, have discussions about them, and to follow our page on Instagram too.
Anything you
Yeah.
want to plug in regards to your other pages? You might want to give them the page names and whatnot.
Okay,
Their
so
handles.
the just to repeat, the page on TikTok is Roberto Cooks, and the page on Instagram is the Lost Filipino Cookbook. So we might also plan to put up YouTube in the next few weeks. We'll see, but that's our next project. And once that's out, we'll also let you know about that as well.
Mm-mm. Mm. Roberto, before we start heading out here, I know you've been very generous with your time. Thank you again for
Oh,
daring to do this with
thank you
us.
for having me over. Yes.
But before we let go and everything, I want to and one more thing, your curiosity is really contagious. I said that to you before. Everybody should know that it's just one curious person. It's like, what is he interested about? And then another person might be interested. I wanted to lead other people also to check out one of my favorite videos that you just did. One of the 2 or 3 videos that are up on your TikTok now. The video about this really old 1880 something restaurant that's still surviving to this day.
Mm.
Yes, the
In
Toho Pansiteria Antigua
yeah.
in Binondo, Manila.
So I want people to, check that out and have a little appreciation for it, at least, spark that curiosity. Anybody else has a final question? Jay, I know it's way past your bedtime. Anything else that you guys want to add?
Yeah, Roberto, thank you very much for joining us. It has been an eye opener, to be quite honest with you. Learned a
Thank
lot of
you.
things here tonight. Not really sure how to process it, to be honest with you, but thank you.
We'll have to do
You're
it
very
again
much
then.
welcome. Yeah, I look forward to the next time.
All
Ooh.
right. I
Awesome.
think that's where we stand at this point. Thank you for joining us. And we will definitely put this up soon. This episode will be broadcasting. Well, it's live now, but it's going to be posted up into our YouTube page at the FlipSide with Jay and Noel no later than tomorrow afternoon.
So soon.
Yeah.
And Celeste, also, thanks for joining us. It's
I know it's
For
Sunday,
silent
guys.
pizza.
It's your day off, supposedly.
yeah.
I truly appreciate it. So I guess that's where we stand at this point. Thank you very much for catching us again. This is the Flip Side with Jay and Noel. My name is Jay.
My name is Noel.
We'll
Roberto
catch you
and
later.
Celestina. Yeah, thanks for joining us on
Thank
the
you for
flip
having
side.
us over. All right.
All right, see you later. Catch us on the next episode on the Flip Side with Jay and Noel. New episodes uploaded on Wednesdays and Saturdays.